We're going to dive into some of the comments we heard from Todd Monken and Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry. We'll get to those. The first one I want to start with are some of the comments about Jim Schwartz that Todd Monken made yesterday. Zach was at the press conference to be able to give us some insight for someone who was actually there. This one quote stood out the most to me from Todd Monken when asked about Jim Schwartz. And he said, quote, "I didn't take this job because of Jim Schwartz. I have a lot of respect for Jim Schwartz, as I would hope he has for me, but I took it because of the players that are here, the ownership, Andrew Berry, and the ability to build this the ground up on the offensive side." He continued, "When I was preparing for the Cleveland Browns, I wasn't trying to chip Jim Schwartz. I was chipping Myles Garrett. And when I was sliding the protection to the outside backers or Grant Delpit blitzing off the edge, I was sliding the protection to the players. And when I was worried about throwing to the right against Denzel Ward or Tyson Campbell to the left, that's who I was worried about throwing at."
Yeah, Zach, I read that as Jim Schwartz is not coming back. Is that how you read it?
That's the only way to read it. It was very strong stuff. I think what makes it stronger is a little bit before that, he said, "I wasn't going to say this here, but I'm going to say it now."
Yeah, right.
And it said basically the rallying cry in the room, like the conversation had not gone well. So I think everybody kind of had a read on that.
Yeah.
I will tell you that in talking to people, one person was like, "Schwartz is coming back. He's under contract. He'll cool off." Immediately in the 24 hours that followed that conversation, I had 3 people say, "No way.
Yeah.
We know Jim Schwartz. Colorful and very colorful."
Yeah.
And one only didn't use a colorful word because he just doesn't. But he did use another F word, and that was fool. And he said Schwartz is nobody's fool. And I can almost guarantee you he's not coming back. So it got ugly. It's chosen here. Look, and I don't think it's the be-all, end-all. Jim Schwartz is the best hire the Browns have made in several years. Jim Schwartz did an outstanding job. That's indisputably true.
Yes.
What Todd Monken said can also be true. The players are here. The system works. We know, and we'll see. The worry would be the dynamics, and we're not going to get a straight answer here.
Right.
Did they really think that he was going to come back, and were they really willing to risk that? Or did they just love Todd Monken so much that Todd Monken was the choice as head coach, and Todd Monken's going to move forward with whichever defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, tight ends coach, all that he wants? Because in that regard, it's all the same. People know the name Jim Schwartz, and Jim Schwartz has a level of production success with this organization that does matter. But when you fire a coach and leave it open for a new staff, that coach has to pick a large percentage of that staff, doesn't? Or you really are doomed from the start.
There's no doubt. And if they weren't all together, like having a powwow, like this is how it's going to go down, like you're going to stay, you're going to be the like delegating this thing together, there's no way this was going to work. Right. Like, and it's almost laughable how delusional the Browns were to think that it could work.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
But then you remember they're the Browns, and then you go, okay, well, that makes sense. That tracks with typically how they run things over there.
Yeah.
And the lack of communication also speaks volumes, because how are they not on the same page? How does Jim Schwartz not know about the situation?
Yeah. And according to reports, he believed he was getting the job. So either he, was misinformed, like he maybe took things to think he was getting it.
Adam,
true,
at one point in your life, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
I know you pretty well. I think we go back to 2010 or 2011, I should say, and I feel like I know every story about your
pretty much
your teen.
Well, not every story,
early
but adolescence
to college, and etc.
Go ahead.
You may have played a couple of girls here and there, right? Like had a. I'm saying like you had like a girl here, a girl there, and at the same time.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but I
wish I did. Sometimes you tell them what they want to hear.
Yeah.
To keep bringing them both along, because you like having them both, don't you?
Yeah, sure.
Zach knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Back in his day.
I was going to use a different analogy, but yes.
I like this one. The point is, you have the faith in me that I had all these women all over the
point
place.
is, I think that they strung them along, maybe said all the right things,
And it just doesn't make. But
we all want to move to Utah, don't we?
I don't know.
That's
about
what I'm saying. The Browns. Making a joke.
Yeah, I got you.
So anyway,
I think that in the end, like if you think Todd Monken is the best head coach for the team as an organization, you hire him. Whatever the consequences of that are, it doesn't matter, because ultimately having the right head coach is more important than having the right defensive coordinator. We've already talked about, like, obviously they bumbled the whole situation here. Doesn't mean that this doesn't turn out to be a great move. But I think it's funny that there was so many fans that were like, can't lose Schwartz. And now it's like, Schwartz is a baby. Schwartz is immature. Who cares? We got Myles Garrett. It matters that you lose Schwartz, but it doesn't have to be the end of the world.
I'll give the Browns this. They've done a good job of kind of flipping I hate the word narrative, but I think the momentum, the perception. I think a lot of people were thoroughly unimpressed and disappointed when the name Todd Monken came out last Wednesday. And I think with the fans that I follow on social media or have spoken to, I think they've done a good job of that. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. In my time, have I thrown a tantrum over a job I pursued and didn't get? Sure.
Never, Zach.
Yeah, but now I didn't have 2 years of a contract and a lot of millions of dollars waiting on me.
Right.
I threw a tantrum about getting paid more than you to do this show. It worked. I'm here.
I think I'm the lowest paid guy here.
No, I think that Jim Schwartz is a really good defensive coordinator. And I think Jim Schwartz has had input in this organization that's counted. And I think Jim Schwartz can help an organization that clearly needs to go forward.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Browns are ever winning a Super Bowl based on Jim Schwartz's relationship with Myles Garrett, based on Jim Schwartz's ability to identify defensive tackles or whatever. I think it was about the offensive side. So could they have done things differently to present this to the public, to Jim Schwartz himself? Yes, but they chose Todd Monken, and Todd Monken has to make the choices that are best for this team. And after yesterday especially, those of us on the outside are left to think that the best thing is to let him go and move on and move forward. And whoever you hire, whether it's Jason Tyrover or Ephraim Banda or someone else who can come in and run this system and keep these coaches together, it's probably time to do that, and I think we all feel the same way.
Absolutely, and you made the most important point there is you have to keep this same defense because the offense stinks as of now. We'll see if they can get it better. Mm-hmm. The defense is very good. You've drafted, you've brought in a number of guys drafted, signed free agents that fit this exact style. So you can't now switch it up. That would make no sense.
That's right. And Devin Bush is a free agent. He just had his best year.
Right.
Ronnie Hickman has played all 3 of his years in this defense. He's headed for free agency.
Yeah.
You were forced to make the Tyson Campbell trade by remnants of the Watson thing and just the overall contractual situation. But Tyson Campbell did not fit in the new scheme in Jacksonville, and he fit in the Schwartz scheme. Right. He got here on 2 days' notice and played his butt off, remember?
He was
had a
excellent.
really good year. And you've got him under a reasonable contract for 1 more year before you have to make decisions on him.
Right.
And that's a premium position, especially in a man-to-man heavy defense. So, you've made those decisions. Why do people love Malik Collins? He fit this defense. He had a great year. He's only under contract for 1 more year. He's older. He's hurt. There's a lot of underlying things here.
Right.
But this was made in the Schwartz identity in getting to this scheme. And it makes sense that over 3 years. This is the one thing in the 6 years of the Bear era.
Yeah.
What's the one Browns identity that you can point to?
That is the defense.
This defense and the way they play this defense.
Right. Even Mason Graham fits what they're doing here. You can't mess with that, Mike.